Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And it's been a couple of days, and for the most part, that's because I've been consumed, yes, absolutely consumed by these meme coins. It's taken a toll on me. Anyway, if we disregard that, the crypto space has also been not too crazy. I mean, obviously, I've got news for you. Don't worry about that. But I guess to get started, let's just start talking about what's most important right now, which is actually this. Jim Cramer says an economic wave is about to hit that will be fantastic for investors. And hopefully you guys know by now, if Jim Cramer is telling you that everything is about to be golden, you should definitely go ahead and basically sell everything, which is always kind of funny. Anyway, we can sit here and talk about the SEC for a little while because, well, a couple things that were interesting happened. So you can see here there's a little dialogue between a couple of different lawyers. Stuart Aldoherty of Ripple said in 1946, in its Subsidy Howey brief, the SEC unsuccessfully argued that an investment in a common enterprise was unnecessary provided there was a community of interest. The SEC was wrong then, and it is still wrong now. Common interest is not common enterprise. To which Bill Morgan stated, to put this and Stewart's tweet in context, the starting point is to recognize that the SEC is trying to massively stretch the Howey test to cover crypto on the grounds the test was intended by the court to be flexible. As again, they basically take an expansive view of common enterprise that allows it to avoid the word enterprise and the need to link it to specific transactions and focusing instead on the adjective common. That's why all these questions are always so unknown. What does the SEC actually say is the common enterprise that Ripple and XRP holders over the whole globe for 8 years are involved in? They can never really answer that properly. We can go further as to how whatever decision is made here will ripple forward to other different cryptos, like, for example, Algorand. And again, based on what's happening now in different courts, XRP, as it relates to the rest, was not sold as a security, at least since 2018. And so it's, again, if you were ever wondering, is Ripple going to win this? I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know for sure, right? But all the evidence still is definitely pointing towards it, at least. All right, now that we're on the topic of the SEC anyway, there was something quite interesting that happened just now. You should check this out. Breaking, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has just filed a brief in the Coinbase versus SEC case, calling out the SEC for acting unlawfully in the digital asset space. This is the U.S. Chambers of Commerce, not the Chamber of Digital Commerce. This is a very big deal, and here's exactly why. This is meta law, man. The U.S. Chamber is a highly influential organization representing companies in all industries across the U.S., not just crypto. And the brief opens with, as it stands today, nobody knows for certain which digital assets, if any, are securities under federal law. Exactly. They make three different arguments. Regulatory uncertainty is killing innovation in the US. The SEC is destabilizing the digital asset regulatory environment. The SEC is violating constitutional due process and fair notice rights. And the topper is, the chamber declares, the SEC's actions are not just harmful policy, they are unlawful. Bottom line, the court will give these arguments advanced by the U.S. Chambers of Commerce serious attention, and the largest, most influential business organization in the U.S. has just declared its stance with crypto. So at the end of the day, that's extremely bullish. This is not a direct support of Ripple or Ripple's case, but we need to extrapolate here that whatever is happening in the background and in other cases will ultimately also reflect bullish again in the Ripple lawsuit, especially if it's arguments like this made against the SEC and the SEC's policy making. All right, we've got some additional interesting news. For example, over in Argentina, the central bank has just raised the interest rates to 97%. And the reason I mention this is because we often talk about how crazy the situation in the US is doing and how just insane the numbers right now are. But then you start looking at other countries and it's like, well, it really ain't doing that bad. It's all relative. And it's the same thing for talking about the US's dollar switching. It's not per se that the US dollar and the US is doing that bad. I mean, we've got our debt ceiling situation coming to a very important, deadline rather soon. But in reality, still, the US just ain't doing that bad, within parentheses here. It's just that they're the biggest and they're the center of it all. And so when they do anything below the median line, basically, or rather, whenever they do suboptimally, all these others will start attacking them because they're first. That's the problem here. It's not that they're doing that bad, it's that they're doing worse than they should be doing in number one. And the way they're looking at cryptos and the way they've been handling it for a lot of the people just has not been the right way. This does not mean that other countries have been doing it better. That's a key component here. It just means the situation in the US has been suboptimal. And as you guys have noticed, like I said, other countries are in a bad situation too. We can't say South Africa is in the best situation it's ever been in, yet Brazil, India, South Africa, for example, China, Russia, all these countries with the BRICS are coming together to kind of take down the US. And that's the thing, right? Because the US is not in the best position ever, they're not as resilient to all these pushes like they've been for the last couple of decades. And I still believe in that little theory where every century or so, the world reserve currency switches. And right now it's been a little bit over a century. It's about time. Oh yeah, and if you didn't believe me that the US is doing a bad job with harboring innovation and making sure money stays in the US, take a look at this. US government to crack down on crypto exchanges. Or in other words, US government to try to make their own citizens poorer. Because I'm not so sure if you guys have noticed it in the past, but the US has all these really interesting rules when it comes to investing. One interesting they've got, for example, is that you need to have X amount of dollars, X amount of money to be able to join these early sales, or I'd say pre-public companies. I'm always like, well, but that's a big way where people can make money. Why would they need so much money, $200,000 a year in income or $1 million in assets to be able to enjoy all this? I personally wouldn't call that responsible. I would call that irresponsible if they couldn't do with their money as they pleased. If they wanted to find that opportunity to invest, they should be able to do so. I digress. With this crypto situation, it's basically the same thing here again. Why would they have this fight? Who are they helping here? They're always saying, oh, it's to combat fraud. It's to help our financial system. It's to help our citizens. But, I don't know exactly why, because I don't really feel that I agree with those sentiments. It's not like the US is the only thing, by the way. Here we've got an announcement from Binance saying, unfortunately, today we are announcing that Binance will be joining other prominent crypto businesses in proactively withdrawing from the Canadian marketplace. We would like to thank those regulators who worked with us collaboratively to address the needs of the Canadian user, blah, blah. Unfortunately, new guidance related to stablecoins and investor limits provided to crypto exchanges makes the Canada market no longer tenable for Binance at this time. They try to, not go away, but they just didn't have any other choice. And they also say it's not that they wanted this, it's that they have to do it this way. All right, but before we move on, I want to quickly talk about our partner for today's video, which is called AI GameToEarn. The idea is pretty simple. They're a blockchain gaming platform. Where they become more unique is in their vision. As their idea is that, in this case here, for the first time, one gaming platform can unite all type of players, regardless of skill, budget, experience, and they've got a couple of different concepts to facilitate that. They've just got the simple play for fun, play to earn, and through NFTs, they've also got NFTs, own to earn, which basically means you can, for example, lend your NFT to other players, and then as they play more, you also make money on that. You can also stake your NFT and actually win because of their leaderboard. And you basically, within these NFTs, have a lot of different traits. Pretty cool stuff. Right now, for example, they've also got a $100,000 prize pool for a variety of different things. I think as of this point, you can only actually get up this leaderboard. By the way, you only have 1 day left, it seems. Anyway, you can only get up this leaderboard by actually completing all their quests right here. But the idea, I believe, is that eventually you'll be able to stake your NFT and actually get part in all these different prize pools that come available, again, on this leaderboard. Anyway, for as far as I can see right now, the main thing that you can do to actually get yourself in on this giveaway is to just sign up for their whitelist. And this will, again, allow you now, because right now the NFTs are not out, to get yourself in on those, which once more will give you in-game features, but also hopefully get you a nice little place in more of these giveaways. Once more, thank you to AI GameToEarn for partnering up with this video. And always, guys, do your own due diligence. Anyway, to continue on, this is interesting, Gary Gensler and the SEC are accused of disrupting well-functioning markets by JP Morgan and financial regulators because of their qualified custodian proposal. And I love this little tweet by somebody: friendly fire will not be tolerated. You have to understand one central concept here, which is this is a fight. Let me zoom in for this one. This is a fight between such powerful parties, because the question at hand here is who exactly can hold what amount of money where. If you guys didn't know, even Coinbase a little while went against this qualified custodian proposal, even though they were one of the qualified custodians, custodian being just a place, I'd say, where a entity can hold money. This could be a person, this could be a company, and it basically changes a little bit of what a fund manager, for example, or where any person or any bank for that matter can actually actively store their money. Again, all in the name of safety, all in the name of protection. But at the end of the day, they're just messing up people's lives, or for that perspective, livelihoods. And in this case here, it's kind of funny how we're now starting to see that disruption where some of the big industry players, the banks and whatnot, might actually also not be happy with the SEC and the way they're trying to handle things. And as I've said in the past, it's just going to be one little flip or little nod of sorts where Gary Gensler just messes up with the wrong guy, barks up the wrong tree, whatever. And they're just going to decide, nah, he ain't good in that position no more. Let's take him down. Anyway, I could sit in here and talk about that for hours, but let's just move on with some other interesting pieces. One is that the former Ripple director says Ripple could burn all XRP in escrow. Yeah, they could. Matt Hamilton, I met a little while ago. I don't think he follows me over on Twitter. We met at the club, so yeah. I understand he might have not been thinking about heading to Twitter to follow me. I don't know why I just told you that. Anyway, there's always this discussion of people saying Ripple should burn XRP. And they could. I personally think the problem then is that a lot of that XRP is being used to further the development of the XRP ecosystem, because you got to ask yourself, the only thing I could think that's better is if other players were in control of the money, like, for example, a DAO. The thing is, there are many negative sides to running DAOs or being involved with DAOs, and one of those things is the swiftness of it all. It's just very slow. And second of all, partially is the confidentiality of sorts, where a lot of things that Ripple is doing for XRP, a lot of other parties could not do. It does not mean that Ripple is the only increaser of the XRP price of sorts. They're a major holder of XRP, and they're doing a lot with their XRP that benefits the ecosystem. And I personally think they're doing a pretty good job, so I'd like to kind of keep it that way. But in theory, they could also just burn all the XRP and it'd be fine. We'd still be in the same position that we're in. And honestly, they'd still have a freaking ton of XRP, which would probably become worth a significant amount more. The only thing is, over longer periods of time, I think would actually hurt the growth of XRP, not help it out. Because all of a sudden, the funds you were going to use for all these cool things are now gone. Other interesting piece, OpenAI, that you guys might all know from ChatGPT. Their CEO, Sam Altman, approaches $100 million in funding for WorldCoin, the crypto project that scans your irises to prove you're not a robot. Where are we going with all this? And they even want me to pay for this article. No way. I refuse. The idea here being pretty simple. They're looking into a new crypto coin raising $100 million, and it's going to be kind of scary. Again, it's called a WorldCoin. You bet your ass it's going to be scary. Another funny article I thought you guys might enjoy. Popular analyst claims a God Candle XRP breakout is up and coming. Coinskit said XRP monthly. God Candle breakout now. Send it to the solid red line. He's basically predicting a massive XRP breakout all the way towards like $1 or so, which is coming from the monthly chart. This is again what he is saying. Will be pretty interesting if this actually happened this way. Again, it follows history and the way it did it back then. Only problem is this time around we did not get our confirmation for the breakout, which is quite unfortunate. But I guess if we extrapolate a little bit further, the moment that we break off again from the green line, it could be just momentum towards the upside. And it does remind me of the Bitcoin halving and the theories of, I guess, cyclical movements we talked about whenever we talk about those. And I keep telling you guys, there's so much more to understanding the fact that this technology is solid. It's here to stay. And the direction, general direction is upwards. Even if it goes sideways or downwards for a while, like with XRP for just too ridiculously long, eventually it does come back around. And you got to also understand, if you bought XRP at the bottom, you'd still 3x your money. Meaning you'd still, if you put $1,000 in at the bottom, would have had $3,000 right now. And if you were trading on a place like Bybit, BitGet, all the stuff I trade on, if you opened your position at the bottom, you would have still, logically speaking, right, made a crazy ton of money by having a leveraged position open. But I digress. There's also some speculation that arose over on Twitter because CZ unfollowed Elon Musk, potentially because Twitter integrated with eToro instead of Binance. But I don't know. I don't care. I don't care exactly who CZ, the CEO of Binance, follows, or who exactly's got what finger up Elon Musk's ass. I do care for the perspective that we might have some money to be made or are now missing out on it or all that stuff. I try to follow the smart money whenever I can, but in this case here, it's just a matter of, okay, we don't know enough, so why bother? Some guys like Paul Tudor Jones are way more obvious. Here's why billionaire Paul Tudor Jones now believes Bitcoin has become less attractive. He's basically saying, hey, it's a very challenging regulatory environment here, and the inflation is showing down. Even though he was always crazy bullish on Bitcoin, right now he's a little bit less attracted to it. Again, these are guys that are quite proper. The company controls approximately $40 billion in assets under management. And he said he still has a minor allocation in Bitcoin, even though it has lost its appeal. And again, the real problem that Bitcoin has right now is these regulatory challenges. And I'd have to fully agree with that. Right now, Bitcoin just is not in the best of situations. From that perspective, no cryptocurrency is. It's mostly the US, but that's also, for investors like this, the most prominent and most important market. And I'd also like to say it kind of expands from the US on outward. So whenever the US changes things, the world kind of appreciates that and takes that as a standard, I kind of believe. I mean, countries like Dubai, or UAE, I should say, they don't look at it from the same perspective, but they still do care. Because a lot of those guys investing in companies here, they always like to not mess around too much. So if the US has a very aggressive no stance on it, or a very confused look on it, you'd rather take your hands off sometimes. Anyway, that was it for all the news that we've got for today. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed it. Again, I could sit here for another 10 hours or so, but I think you've heard enough of me. And so we'll see you guys again in another crypto video, hopefully later today or tomorrow or the day afterwards. I'm heading to Miami here in a little bit. We'll be going to Bitcoin Miami. If you guys are there, make sure to say hi if you see me. Don't be scared. It's actually really funny when some people get nervous. And I think back to when I used to meet people that I used to watch on some sort of platform like this and get nervous. But in reality, everybody's just a person. Don't act weird. I've, as of this point at least, appreciated every single person that's ever said hi to me in that regard. I'll always treat you with the utmost respect. Just come say hi. I'd always appreciate that. And someone might say, you going to a Bitcoin event? Yeah, because I still love Bitcoin. I might think that XRP will make me more money, which I still agree with. That does not mean I think Bitcoin is garbage. I mean, if you're talking about payments, I never really use Bitcoin for that because it's kind of stupid. And for almost anything else, it's not the best. But Bitcoin is getting more and more appeal now with ordinals and just with the fact that, I mean, people stop trusting this entire financial system and they want some safe things to hold. Bitcoin still takes a good place right there. But that's about it for this video. See you guys later in another one.